rise. Concord Sixth Circuit Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge John Clary presiding.
Please be seated. Mr. Troy Tremblay, what is today's case?
Your Honor, today's case of state is State of New Hampshire versus Sidney Taylor.
Is the prosecution ready?
We are.
Is the defense ready?
We are fully ready.
The state can now address your opening statement.
Your Honor, honorary members of the jury, I'm pleased to inform you all that today's case won't require much effort on your part. Today's case is simply a matter of justice and embracing our court system. Officer Sidney Taylor crossed the line and took advantage of his badge in attempting to murder my client, a minor, Alex Day. Regardless of background or other irrelevant information that will be presented to you today, an unarmed boy, not an unarmed man, that didn't pose as a threat was shot by a newly employed, inexperienced, trigger-happy, obsessed officer for no justifiable reason, which is illegal. It's that simple. The defense today will attempt to persuade you from the truth. However, I strongly believe that this ill-minded man will be brought to justice. All I ask of you, Your Honor, members of the jury, is that you simply do your job and punish this man for what he's done. Nothing else.
The defense can now address your opening statement.
Interesting theory. Let's stick to the facts, all right? Your Honor, jury. Hello guys. Sidney Taylor is being charged today with this attempted second-degree murder and first-degree assault. Let's look at this. Attempted second-degree murder. A person is guilty of attempt if they purposely, with intent, commit a crime. In this case, the state of New Hampshire is trying to prove that Officer Taylor, beyond a reasonable doubt, went to that homecoming game with the intent to shoot and kill Alex Day. When I think of these charges, the only words that come to mind is outrageous. Sitting right there is a man who devoted his life to public service, devoted time and energy that he can never get back. He did this to protect myself and everyone in this room. Every time he puts his White Mountain Police Department uniform on, he's putting himself in danger. Every day he goes to work. He may not come home that evening, but he still goes to work and does his job. Some may ask why. Well, I can answer that question. He does his job because he wants to protect the community from criminals like Alex Day. However, now his character and integrity is being called into question. In a normal case, the defense only needs to prove doubt. I will prove doubt in this case, but I will also prove that Officer Taylor is 100% innocent. I will prove that Officer Taylor was operating well within his rights as a police officer, and you will see that there is no doubt he's innocent. In late December 2004, Principal Sam Mathis asked Officer Taylor to be a security guard at White Mountain High School with a recommendation from Detective Leslie Taylor. Since accepting the job, Officer Taylor made it his mission to keep White Mountain High School safe. The main problem at White Mountain High School during this time was the influx of students coming from New York and bringing their gang activity with them. Alex Day was one of those students. Alex Day, being raised by a single mother without a father figure and angry at the world, started going to Main Street gang parties. Alex admitted that he and his friend Tony Sanchez, who will be testifying for the prosecution, went to parties 3 or 4 times a week. But wait, not gang members, right? Now Officer Taylor comes into school, determined to eliminate gang activity in White Mountain High School, with support from Principal Matthews and Detective Leslie Thomas. Officer Taylor knew that eliminating gangs would be the only way to keep White Mountain High School safe. In fact, that was the reason he was hired. Parents and students were scared for their students' safety because of recent drug busts and gun control incidents. Alex's friend, Tony Sanchez, like I mentioned, will be testifying for the prosecution, was arrested a few months before for beating up a student and threatening him with a gun. This is a scary time for White Mountain High School, and Alex Day was identified in the principal's memorandum as being involved in gang activity. People were scared, so Officer Taylor took it upon himself to eliminate that kind of behavior. His police work identified Alex Day as a potential leader and made sure that Alex Day would not threaten the safety of any student in White Mountain High School. He followed Alex Day. He watched Alex Day. The reason Alex was so annoyed by Officer Taylor and sarcastic to him and rude to him was because Officer Taylor kept Alex Day in line. On the night of September 23rd, 2005, Officer Taylor was collecting parking money. It's $1 to park. No student has a problem with this. But then Alex Day drives up in his BMW with Tony Sanchez, tosses $1 out the window, says rude comments. Of course, Officer Taylor doesn't appreciate this, but he lets it go. Throughout the game, Officer Taylor does his job. He walks around making sure no one is getting into trouble. And of course, he keeps an eye on known gang members. He notices a person about Alex Day's age, walk in. He's wearing a Jets cap. From training, he knows this is a clothing that the gang members wear. Of course, he wouldn't be doing his job if he didn't pay closer attention to them. He's not sure what they are doing. He doesn't want to speculate, but he needs to keep an eye on them. During the game, a girl comes up to him and asks him to talk to Alex Day and his friends because he was picking on them and dumped soda in their hair. He goes over to them. Alex Day's comment is, "Whatever, Sid," salutes him. Of course, he doesn't respond back to this. You need to pick your battles. Now it's after the game. Officer Taylor and Principal Matthews are locking up for the night. They locked the gates and were doing their patrol of the stadium. Then they hear tires squeal and saw a car drive underneath the grandstand. At this point, it's dark out, but there are still some lights on. Officer Taylor tells the principal to call for backup and carefully approaches the grandstand. He doesn't know what's happening. Drug deal, arms deal, could be anything. As he approaches, he stops about 60 feet away and sees 3 figures, one of which is wearing that baseball cap. Officer Taylor also sees an object being transferred between their hands. Then, Alex, seeing him, says, "Get a life." Officer Taylor uses his training and tells them to stop and gives them directions, repeatedly, but they do not stop. Then he sees a metal object. Detective Leslie Taylor advised him to be careful, that gang members carry around guns and will shoot to protect their drugs. Knowing from his training that he only has seconds to react, he draws his weapon and fires at the person with the revolver. He shoots Alex Day in the leg. When he starts to run over to the person with the baseball cap runs away. Now, no gun was found at the scene. That person ran away because he was trying to protect Alex Day. Gang members are like brothers. They protect one another. All right? He ran away and was not found for 2 days. He clearly took that gun, had 2 days to hide it, and then just to protect Alex Day. Officer Taylor did not purposely, with intent, go to that homecoming game to shoot and try to kill Alex Day. The circumstances around him forced him to, and I will prove that with credible witness testimonies and evidence.
The state can call their first witness.
Let's call Alex Day to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir. Alex, how are we doing?
Doing good, sir.
How's your recovery going?
Pretty good.
It's a pretty traumatic time for
Yes.
you, I understand.
Yes.
So, Alex, how old are you?
I'm actually 17.
You were State United High School? I understand you grew up in Jersey City.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So, I assume you're a Jets fan.
Yeah.
judging by your jacket.
Yes.
So, Alex, where'd you get that jacket?
Actually, my dad gave it to me.
Your dad gave it to you?
Yes, he did.
So it must be pretty important to you.
Yeah. No game grade. Yeah.
Do you wear it a lot?
Yeah.
Yes. So where's your father, Alex?
Well, he is traveling because he likes to travel for work, but he lives in New Jersey.
So he didn't travel here with you and your mother?
No.
No. So your parents are divorced?
Yes.
They are. Okay. So would you say you have a good relationship with your father?
Oh, yeah.
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 Regardless of not being able to see him, you
Yeah.
guys stay.
We're still talking on the phone, so.
Sure. So what brought you to New Hampshire, Alex?
My mom had to move because her ABC job got transferred to New Hampshire.
Okay. So was the move stressful?
Yeah, because I was worried about how, like, I'm not gonna make new friends in New Hampshire, so.
How was making friends? Did you make any friends?
Yeah, I made a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone in particular?
Tony Sanchez.
Tony Sanchez?
Yeah.
And how'd you meet Miss Sanchez?
At a game party.
At a gang party? Okay. So you went to a gang party, so you two are members of the gang, correct?
No.
No, you're not.
No.
Okay. So branching off here, how do you know Sydney Taylor?
He's our school cop. He likes to follow me around school.
He does.
Yeah.
So why would Officer Taylor pay such close attention to you?
Because he thinks I'm a gang member, but I'm not. I'm just a normal person doing my own thing in the world.
And, you know, because you have a Jets jacket, you must be a member of a gang, right?
Clearly to him, he thinks I am, but I'm not.
So you've been doing well lately?
Yeah, I try and do better in school, because I've been slipping off in school, so.
Better than in the past in New Jersey and New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So what are your goals and hopes for yourself? You want to go to college?
Oh yeah, I want to not party as much. I want to go get to college, get a degree, get a real job. Sorry.
That's great. Glad to hear that. So I actually am pretty jealous. I understand you own a BMW.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's quite a nice set of wheels you have there.
Yeah.
How'd you get that car, Alex?
Actually, I've been doing good in school lately, so my dad has made me an offer. If I keep doing good in school, I keep my BMW.
It's quite the offer.
Yeah.
And did you recently attend the White Mountain Homecoming event?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Yeah.
And did you drive to the game
Yes, I did.
in your BMW?
Yes.
Of course, you gotta pull up in style, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
And were you with anyone?
Yes, Bobby Davis.
Bobby Davis. Who's Bobby Davis?
One of my friends.
One of your friends?
Yeah.
Are they from town or?
Actually, they were already in New Hampshire, but I met them during a game party.
Okay. And what were you and Bobby Davis wearing?
Well, like, game-related clothes, but like, we were wearing our own clothes. I was wearing my Jets jacket, but I don't know what he was wearing.
So, you know, you guys are both from, tri-state area.
Yeah.
Understandably, you're Jets fans.
Yeah, most
And
definitely.
touching back earlier, that jacket's of importance to you. You wear it everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. So, did you encounter Officer Taylor at the game?
Yeah, I saw him. He was with the principal. He was trying to look at me the whole game.
So he was, would you say he was like stalking you almost?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
I mean, like, if I was just looking around, he would be right there.
Did he make you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, he did.
He did. And what'd you do after the game, So,
I actually went back and hanged out with my buddies.
yeah, Bobby Davis and Tony Sanchez?
Yep.
Okay. So it's of my understanding that beer bottles were
Oh,
found in
yeah.
your vehicle.
Yeah, I saw beer bottles already there. I had to move the beer bottles so my cars and my tires wouldn't get slashed. Beer
No,
bottles?
you gotta protect the car, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Nice set of
Expensive car. Gotta treat that thing perfect.
Absolutely, I agree. So, and later that night, so you're hanging out with your buddies, Tony Sanchez, Bobby
Yeah,
Davis, you're
yeah.
wearing your Jets gear,
Yeah,
right? So did you encounter Officer Taylor again?
yeah,
You did?
yeah.
Okay.
He saw me from a distance, so he came by. I was like right here, and he was like right there. So
Yeah. All right, so could you explain to
Objection. That close. You can't say that distance like that.
Oh, like in 60 feet matter, like distance, dude. Are you serious?
That's serious. I don't want lies to be brought up again.
Your Honor?
Sustained. That question cannot be used in this testimony. Proceed.
Alright, so regardless of the distance,
Yeah.
what happened exactly, Alex?
Well, I think the cop was expecting us to do something bad, so, because we were like, I don't know.
Objection, hearsay, you can't speculate.
Sustained.
So,
So my opinion is that I was just chilling with my friends and he was chilling right there and he pulled out his gun and shot me in the leg.
shot you. So, Officer Taylor shot you, correct?
Yes.
He did.
And I had no guns, no knives on me,
Nothing.
clean as a whistle.
Clean as a whistle. Did you give Officer Taylor reason to fire his weapon at you?
No,
You did not.
no,
So you weren't armed, you didn't pose as a threat, you
No.
didn't approach Officer Taylor.
nope.
No further questions, Your Honor.
The defense can now perform cross-examination on the witness.
Yes,
1 minute,
sir.
Troy. 1 minute.
What?
You okay? Side back. You're okay.
My bad.
You're right.
How far away would you say Hoboken, New Jersey is from New York City?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I'll help you out, alright? It's a little over 4 miles.
Oh, that's great.
About a
That's
15-minute drive, right?
Why would I care?
I'll tell you. Alright? Would you say, since it's, 15 minutes away from where you left, where you lived, you go to New York City a lot, right?
No.
No?
No. My mom doesn't let me go see my dad.
So, you didn't go to New York City at all, but you live 15 minutes away.
No. So
Okay.
doesn't mean I have to go to New York City every day.
I'm not saying you went there every day, but did you go there, I don't know, at least maybe once a month, maybe sometimes?
Oh, yeah, I go see my dad.
Okay. Okay. You know any major gangs in that area?
I guess so. I mean, I'm not really a gang member, so why would I want to hang out with gang people?
Oh, can you name some gangs for me in New York City?
Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant information question.
Yeah.
This trial's about gangs. I'm leading into about gangs.
His knowledge on
Yeah,
gangs.
but
His
I
knowledge on
have
gangs
no
is not
idea
relevant,
about
he's not a
gangs.
professional.
Sustained. Sean is not an expert in the gang life, so he does not report on gang in New York City.
Alright, well, I'll help him out with that then. Well, the Bloods, the Crips, the Latin Kings, Flying Dragons.
Cool.
I could be here all day listing off gangs.
Cool.
You ever hang around those gangs?
No.
No. So you did some drag racing down there though, right?
Doesn't mean I'm a gang member.
Never said it did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's fun.
But, gangs, are at most drag races. And,
Cool.
usually drag races are hosted by gangs, Alex.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
You know that?
No. I
Okay.
did not know that.
You also said you got into fights down there.
Yeah, I got in a couple fights.
Why would you get into fights? What's the need for a
Uh,
star student like you to get into fights?
So I could not stand up for myself, most definitely.
Well, maybe it's because they were in a rival gang and you needed to show them a message.
Objection, Your Honor. He's badgering my client. He clearly said he wasn't in a gang. He keeps referencing back to it.
Alright, I'll stop.
Sustained. Proceed.
You said you wore a Jets jacket almost every day to school, correct?
Correct.
Did any teachers ask you to stop wearing that
Yeah.
multiple times?
Yeah.
But you continued to wear that jacket,
Yeah.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they were looking out for your safety because they knew that gang members wear Jets clothing?
Well, that's too bad. I'm not a gang member, so I can wear the jacket.
So you willingly put your life in danger, Alex, because you just like the jacket and the teams, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just like the team.
Alright.
There's nothing wrong with that.
On your criminal record, let's put that into evidence, please. Alex Day does have a criminal record.
Objection. It's inadmissible. State versus Smalley. Evidence of the crimes of Officer Abs is not admissible to prove the character of the person.
This,
Sustained. State versus Smalley says that you can only use evidence that is related to this matter.
this is related.
This is not
Overruled.
related.
This is specifically related to his character and how he is part of a gang, therefore he did crimes, and that is why I'm bringing that. They need to know
It is
that
not
he
proof of motive,
did crimes
opportunity.
ahead of time.
It's not proof of motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, or anything.
That does prove motive.
It does not.
The defense believes he was there because he was doing a drug deal. You know, you don't just pop out one
What
day and
knowledge
decide
do
to
you
have a
have?
drug deal. It's a building process, and
The
this proves
process
that.
being charged is not relevant.
Sustain on her part, proceed
Proceed, so I can use it?
with your questions.
With my questions, okay? So you caught shoplifting, is that correct?
Relevant to your questions other than that, I believe that's what Your Honor, you were saying.
Overruled, this is relevant to the case on his past criminal history. Proceed.
So you were caught shoplifting, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And you said in your statement, was a bogus charge.
Yep.
Do you stand by that statement?
Yeah, that was stupid.
Okay. Can you tell us we were caught attempting to steal yesterday?
Cigarettes? And
Correct. How old were you at the time?
17.
Do you know it's illegal to buy cigarettes at age 17 in the state of New Hampshire?
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
Uh,
I know.
so,
Still a minor.
so, if you went to go and buy those cigarettes, do you think they would allow you to buy those cigarettes?
Obviously not.
But you said you just happened to slip those cigarettes in your pocket. Why were you even looking at those cigarettes in the first place?
Because one of my buddies wanted cigarettes, so I gotta help a buddy out.
So, you illegally were going to try to buy cigarettes for your buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you respect authority, Alex?
Yeah, I guess so.
Would you consider a police officer an authoritative figure?
Yeah.
So why would you be sarcastic and rude on many
Because you was
counts
stalking me, I mean...
to a person? Let me finish. To a person who you believe is an authority figure, because he is a police officer.
Alright, one reason.
Order.
Alright, well, to the fact that he was stalking me 24/7 of the day, so, and I wasn't doing anything wrong, so why not mess with him a little bit? Teach him a lesson, you know? Tell him to back off a little.
Okay, so let's mess with a person you consider an authoritative figure.
Yeah, well, he was stalking me though, I couldn't do anything about it.
Stalking you, following you and making sure you weren't getting into trouble.
Oh, I
is
knew that.
considered stalking nowadays.
I knew I was not gonna do anything bad, so I don't know, there's no point in me stalking, he was stalking me.
But if you're not going to do anything bad, why does it matter that he's just
Because that's
looking after
weird.
you?
I don't want people stalking me around school.
Mhm.
I'm my own person. I'm not getting stalked. That's weird.
On the night of September 23rd,
Oh,
2005.
yeah. Can I ask you a question?
No. On the night of September 23rd, 2005, how did you gain access to bring your car underneath the grandstand?
I broke in.
You broke in. That's called breaking and entering, folks. So you cut the lock and entered, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Why did you do that?
Because I wanted a place to chill. Nice place.
In your statement, you said you wanted to pick up your friends because you didn't want them to walk. Do you stand by that statement?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
I kind of already were at the game, so.
Officer Taylor asked you to stop multiple times.
Yeah.
You didn't listen.
Okay.
Why didn't you listen?
Because he's weird.
Because he's weird. So, a police officer trying to do
Stop
his
what?
job,
Stop what? What are you telling me to stop for?
he gave you directions. He told you to stop.
I couldn't hear him.
You couldn't hear him, but you responded to him first, saying, "Get a life, Sid."
Yeah, because I saw him, and
So-
I knew I was going to say something bad to him anyway, so that's what I said to him. Get a life. Because I
So-
saw him close near me, he saw me, so I just said, get a life.
Okay. Were you in the right frame of mind that night, Alice?
Most definitely, I was sober as a bird.
Okay, let's bring medical records into this.
Objection?
Brian is telling his client what to say on the stand, and that should be happening. His client should be saying what he actually thinks, not what Brian wants him to say. Does that sound better?
No, that's what I think.
Just saying,
Please be quiet, Mr. Dennis.
Just
Brian,
directly
do
ask
not
Brian.
do any more gestures than the witness answer your own testimony. Proceed.
Okay, I'd like to put into evidence Alex Day's medical records from the night he was shot. He had a .08 blood alcohol level. Did you know that?
Yeah.
But you just said you were sober that night.
Yeah, I know.
So, did you lied on the stand, correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Are you aware that's a crime?
Yeah.
Make sure you want to know that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And your fingerprints were found on the bottles next to your car that
Yeah, because I had to move them.
so you had to move them, but okay, so you were
Yeah,
had
they
a
were
point
there.
oh
Alright,
eight.
so I had alcohol in my car and there was already beer bottles right next to me. So I grabbed the beer bottles, but the beers in my car, I threw them in the woods. If you understand that.
So you're admitting to illegally drinking because you are 17 and you stated that night.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what drinking does to your body?
No, sir.
It clouds your judgment, correct?
Oh, it does it?
Does it? Okay. Do you know that if you were to drive that car and get caught with a .08, that you would have been charged with a DWI?
Yeah, but I didn't, so it was fine.
That's because
I was gonna speak to
Officer
my
Taylor
sergeant.
shot you and found you, right? Before you were able to hurt more people, correct?
Oh, I was not gonna hurt anyone. So how does that come into play?
When you are abusing alcohol, you cannot fully control your actions. No further questions.
Speculation.
No further questions.
The witness is excused. Defense can call their first witness.
We'd like to call Sam Athis to the stand, please.
Doesn't.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
need more.
they-
They need more
they-
witnesses, right?
Yeah, all three of them.
You said defense officers.
Oh.
State.
Prosecution would like
State's
to
calling
call
next witness.
Detective Leslie Thomas to the stand.
No, we're calling to,
Go. That's our witness.
that's their witness. The state calls Tony Sanchez to the stand.
You guys are doing great. You're doing excellent.
Please raise your right hand. Please go ahead and tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes. Tony, how are you? Good, how are you? So Tony, how old are you?
17.
And where do you go to school?
White Mountain High School.
How did you meet Alex Day?
At a Main Street gang party?
Now, were you in the gang?
No, we just went because they had good parties.
Okay. Did Sydney Taylor ever talk to you?
Yes.
What kinds of things did she say?
She told us that we should stop hanging out with Alex or something.
Objection. Sid Taylor is a guy.
Oh my god, really?
I'm sorry, what kinds of
He-
things did he say?
He said that I should stop hanging out with Alex because someone was eventually going to get killed.
Now, did you make plans to go with Alex to the game on September 23rd, 2005? And what time did Alex pick you up?
7 o'clock p.m.
Did you go straight to the game?
Yes.
What did you see when you got there?
We saw Sydney Taylor there, and Alex was giving him crap, but he wasn't. There's no threatening involved.
Okay, so he was just giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
No threats. Were you and Alex together the whole time at this game?
Yes.
What, did anyone else come?
Yeah. Halfway through the game, Alex's friend Bobby came and sat with us.
Did you notice anything else?
We saw the principal and Cindy was watching all of us once Bobby came inside with us.
Now, what happened after the game was over?
We were all standing around and Alex crashed into the stadium.
So were you doing anything else at this time? Just staring around, hanging out? Now, what happened with the beer bottles that were found at the scene?
We saw them, so we moved them, so we didn't do the flat tire.
Where was Cindy Taylor when all this was happening? You guys were hanging out?
She was grade 5, 40 feet away.
No. Then what happened?
She was telling us something, I didn't really know what she was saying, but then last thing I knew, that Alex got shot.
And how did you feel about that?
I was scared and I didn't know what to do.
Now, you didn't give a statement to the police that night. Why didn't you give the statement to the police that night?
Because it was too weird though.
No further questions?
The defense now for cross-examination.
You have a pretty lengthy record, Tony. Possession of a dangerous weapon and committing a crime, first-degree assault, and minor possession of alcohol. Right?
Objection. State versus Smalley again, and this time this isn't even the person involved in this incident. So what relevance does that have to this
It's
case?
the same thing as Alex Day. We believe that she is a gang member, affiliated.
She
This
was not
proves.
shot. She
This
was not
proves.
This case is about Alex, about Alex Day, so we will not record on his record, so we will proceed. Sustained. Proceed with your questions.
Okay. Can you tell us what you told your father when you were released from the youth detention facility?
No, that I was gonna be good and stay out of trouble.
Did you stay out of trouble?
Yeah,
You sure about that?
I don't know.
Because you got a DWI right after that. When you were caught with the gun, that in charge of possession of a dangerous weapon,
Objection, you got this.
What you said?
you're gonna.
We already moved to suppress her record. So we can't
Sustained.
just bring this on in.
Dean, move on from these further questions and go to the case.
Alright, we'll forget about that. We'll forget about a criminal record. Is it true you were drinking on September 23rd, 2005?
Yeah.
Could you answer my questions now? Look over at
Oh, I
the
did answer your
prosecution.
question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you were drinking?
Yeah.
So you were with Alex Day, who had a .0 blood alcohol level that night, and were drinking.
Yeah.
Okay. So things might be a little fuzzy, right? I mean, if you're drinking, I mean, you're not all there. Things are a little
Objection,
fuzzy.
he has no idea how many drinks this person had that
We
night.
have nothing to show what her blood alcohol level was that night.
Do you have any medical records of,
No, I don't, but that's why I'm asking the question. Things might be a little fuzzy. That's why I'm asking the question.
overruled?
Okay. Things might be a little fuzzy, right? You had, I don't know how many drinks you had, but at least one, I'm assuming, correct, since you said you drank?
Yeah.
So that, as soon as you have one drink, that can affect your mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, 35 to 40 feet away, right? I don't know. It's about over here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, when you're yelling.
Well, Officer Taylor, his training is to say it loudly and firmly. So, could you hear me?
Yeah, when you're screaming like
Okay.
that. Alright.
So, 35 to 40 feet away, you can hear a person.
Yeah, when you're not.
Yes or no answer, please.
Yes.
Okay. Instead of giving your statement that day, you waited till the next day.
Yes.
You also visited Alex Day in the hospital that day, before you gave your statement. Correct?
Yeah.
That That's plenty of time. 2, keep your stories straight, right?
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence that your stories are similar, correct? But, like you stated before, the police fabricated everything, correct? Yeah. All right.
What is that excuse? Mistake called the last witness. We'd like to call Officer Andy Medina to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Please swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Good day, officer. How are you doing today?
Good, you?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking.
So I'm going to have a few questions that I'd like you to answer as best you can.
Sure. Knowledge.
How long have you been in the police force?
I've been part of the White Mountain Police Department for 12 years.
And do you have any complaints against you for using excessive force?
No.
So, how do you know Officer Sidney Taylor?
We went to the academy together.
Do you know any complaints of any excessive force he's used before?
Yes, I did.
Could you please tell us some?
At some case where, he was being used as a scapegoat, evidence was lost.
Okay. So, on the night of September 23rd, 2005, what call did you get?
I got a call that there was a disturbance at the stadium, so I called back up because it's a known gang territory.
Now, was it just you that was sent to the stadium, or was there more than one squad car sent?
There was me, I called for backup, they came.
Okay. So, the more officers came later on, but
Yes.
you were there first.
Yes.
All right. So, could you please explain the scene of what happened?
I went up to the south gate and the lock was cut off. I then proceeded and I saw that the BMW was there with its brakes lights on. Alex Day was on the passenger side laying down, gunshot wound to the right knee, and Tony Sanchez was also there, physically shaken, along with Officer Sidney Taylor, who was also very shaken.
Okay. Now, what condition was Alex Day in after that?
Shot in the right knee. I called for an ambulance immediately.
Now, did you question Officer Sidney Taylor afterwards?
No, I asked him if he would, and he was too shaken, and out of respect, I didn't see after shooting.
So his reaction to the situation was pretty bad? He was
Yes.
Okay. So, do you know of the principal named Sam Mathis?
Yes.
And do you know, does he have quite a relationship with the officer, Sidney Taylor?
From my knowledge, yes, they have, but I questioned Sam Mathis late on that night, didn't really have much to say about both.
Okay. Now, in the statement, there was a possible graffiti being going on. Could you explain that?
Yes, about 10 feet behind the BMW on the wall of the stadium was some graffiti written down. We also found spray paint cans that was near the BMW, and it seemed to be the same color paint. No test was performed, but
Was there anything else found at the crime scene on Alex Day, maybe possibly?
also there were 3 beer bottles. We ran fingerprints on it. We couldn't do that for the spray paint cans. It's kind of hard to run fingerprints on that, but on the beer bottles there was Alex Day's fingerprints. And also, after we went to the hospital to check out Alex Day, he had a switchblade in his front right pocket.
Now, do you have any evidence that suggests that you used this?
No, it was just there, close.
Now, did you find anything else around the car? Anything?
Beer bottles. Paint cans and beer bottles.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a few questions about the police business. What kind of training does the police academy do that deals with drug-related
Cases.
instances? Yes, cases.
We are trained to look out gang members. We're trained to look at age, what they're wearing, if they come from a poor family and they're wearing more expensive clothes, we're trained to be aware that they could be involved in gang activity. Jet records.
Now, how are gangs affiliated with each other? Is it family related, friends?
Friends, usually a lot of them came up from New York and New Jersey. Families moved and they brought their kids.
Objection. He's not an expert on gangs, therefore he cannot say that. That cannot be evidence. That's just his opinion.
I'm only asking his opinion.
But I just want to make it clear that cannot be considered evidence. He is not an expert. It's not a fact. He's not an expert on gangs.
Are you an expert on gang affiliations?
No, I have not.
Sustain therefore, because the witness is not an expert in the field and you are not able to state your opinion.
Okay.
Proceed.
Now, in your small knowledge you have about gangs, in your opinion, would you say that they are part of a gang? Yes.
Who's mom?
Alex Day or?
I don't have any evidence to suggest that.
Okay. So, do you know of any situations that police are supposed to deal with when dealing with contraband? Reactions you're supposed to use?
Police officers are trained to be very cautious, especially if there were signs giving out that someone, might be affiliated with a gang. We're supposed to be cautious and be aware that a gang member could have a weapon on them, and you might also have illegal drugs, and that they could possibly use that weapon to protect their drugs by getting possessed.
Now, as far as you know from the evidence shown, is there any contraband found on Alex Day or around his premises?
No.
Now, what is your opinion about the whole gang problem at White Mountain?
I think there's reasonable belief to think that there could be gang activity, but I think people are overreacting.
How so?
Police officers seem to be shooting first and asking questions later, and there seems to be mass hysteria among the public. Police officers seem to be thinking that any kid walking down the street could possibly be a gang member.
So, what are your feelings towards Officer Taylor's position at White Mountain High School?
I think that I've become increasingly concerned about him. He's been talking about how the high school is a cesspool of gang activity. Seems like he's kind of on a more crusade to stop gang activity.
And does he have any evidence to back up these statements he makes?
I have not seen any.
Okay. Now, in conversations that you've had with Officer Sidney Taylor, what kind of things did he say?
He told me that high school's full of gang activity, and he seemed to particularly have a grudge against Alex Day.
What kind of things does he say about Alex?
He thinks that Alex is supplying the whole school with drugs, and he wants to try to catch Alex in the act.
Now, would you say that he possibly has a grudge against Alex?
Yes.
Judge, I believe the witness stated that before. That he had a grudge. So I think it's a different perspective, Your Honor.
What's the different perspective?
The initial perspective was from my client and is now from the officer.
No, he said it twice. He said that he had a grudge, asked him to acknowledge it twice.
Anyway, in what tone was he speaking to you when he was talking about Alex Day? Was he frustrated, angry,
I would say
calm? Frustrated?
so. Yes. Serious.
Now, how many officers in your unit actually believe there is a gang problem at White Mountain High School? Any?
I'm sure there's a few.
But you don't know many, not many at all.
Not many as serious as
Is that possibly one reason why Sidney Taylor left the police force to work at White Mountain High School?
that could be one reason.
Right. Further questions?
The defense cannot perform cross-examination of the witness.
How you doing?
Good.
I just want to first say thank you for your service. 12 years in the force.
You're welcome.
Well respected. Officer Sidney Taylor, you said in your statement that you believe he was used as a scapegoat. when he had a big drug bust and some of the evidence got lost, correct?
Yes, I did.
Can you clarify what you meant when you said scapegoat?
Scapegoat, as in Patsy, someone who's used as, didn't really do it. They're someone else.
Exactly, thank you very much. You got denied and were not allowed into Detective Leslie Thomas's gang unit, correct?
Yes.
So, disappointing, right?
Now that I look at it, in hindsight, I'm kind of glad I didn't.
But when you got denied, an officer like yourself, 12 years in the force, that must upset you a little bit.
I would assume anybody would be somewhat upset for being denied.
Maybe makes you a little bitter. Maybe?
Maybe.
A little bitter?
Not much, I would say.
So, when you were denied and Officer Taylor was the one getting the big drug bust. Officer Taylor was the one focusing and cracking down on gangs. Officer Taylor was the one who was protecting the school and the community from gangs. Might have made you a little bit upset, right? 12 years on the force, you were not the one who was doing this, right?
Objection,
No further questions.
The defense can call their first witness.
The defense would like to call Sam Mathis to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
What is your name?
My name is Sam Mathis.
How's your family?
They're doing great. I have a lovely wife and 2 children.
So good, you're a family man.
Yeah.
What is your current position at White Mountain High School?
I am the principal.
How do you know Sid Taylor?
Well, we attended the same high school together, and then lost touch. But we reconnected many years later while playing on the same City League softball team. We would casually go out for a beer after the game and talk about our lives and jobs. It was great to catch up.
So you would say that you and Sid were good friends.
Yes, I would call us good friends.
And did you recently hire Sid Taylor?
Yes, I did.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, with the opening of the ABC plant, there was a large influx of new people to the city. So, with the new people, I suspected new students to the school and possible gang activity going on in the school. As the principal, it's my job to protect the students. So, I sent out a memorandum banning gang-related clothing from being worn, such as Jets clothing. And I also sent out a list that was compiled by the White Mountain Police Department of individuals who are suspected of being involved in the gangs. And Alex Day and his friend Tony Sanchez were on that list.
So just to be clear, you offered the job to Sid, right?
Yes, I did.
How did Sid react to the job offer?
He was delighted. He was happy to be in an environment where he could finally be supported in his crusade against gangs.
And did you attend the homecoming game?
Yes, I attended the homecoming game on September 23rd, 2005.
Please describe that night for us.
I went to the game with Sid Taylor. For the first half of the game, I sat alone while Sid worked. For the second half of the game, Sid joined me. He sat with me for a while, and then someone came up to him and told him that Alex Day and his friend threw soda at her. So Sid went over and talked to Alex. Alex was sitting with Tony Sanchez and another kid in a Jets cap whom I had never seen before. So I doubt he went to White Mountain. Then Alex saluted Sid, and from what I know about Alex, probably made some sort of smart comment. After the game, it was me and Sid's job to secure the school grounds. We had already secured the grandstand when we were over by the stadium securing that. And then we heard tires squealing and we saw car lights bobbing up and down under the grandstands. So we both looked very surprised though, because we had already locked the gate. So we knew someone had broken the lock. Sid told me to call dispatch, so I went over to the visitor side of the field, because that was closer to where the car was. Dispatch told me that there was a unit in the area and that they would arrive within a few minutes. I hoped they would arrive before my officer got shot. I hurried back, but before I got there, I heard a gunshot. I went over and saw I saw Sid Taylor standing next to the BMW with Alex Day, and the kid in the Jets cap running away. I gave chase, but lost him. So I went back to the BMW and saw that Alex Day was being loaded into the ambulance. Another police officer told me that Sid Taylor had shot Alex Day. I wasn't a bit surprised when I learned that Alex Day had been involved in gangs, because he had been nothing but trouble since coming to the city of Whitman.
Do you fully trust that Sid did everything he possibly could?
Yes, Sid is a great guy, very loyal, and I fully believe in what he said, and that he did everything he could to protect himself and everyone else.
No further questions, Your Honor.
State cannot perform cross-examination of witness.
Hey, Principal Mathis, how are you? So I'm going to ask you a few questions about Sid Taylor. Now, how long have you known Sid?
For a while, we attended high school, but we stopped talking after that.
And after you hired him, you started to bond with him a little more?
Well, we bonded, playing on the softball team, and I hired him because of that, because we were close friends with that, and I knew him well.
So you had many conversations with Sid Taylor, some maybe about drug problems at the school?
Yes.
Now, do you believe that there's a drug problem and gang problem at the school?
Yes.
And do you know Alex Day, a student at your school?
Yes.
Do you know him very well personally?
Yes. Well, not personally, but I know him. He's been in my office a couple times.
Now, do you know about any of his family life?
I do not know much about his family life. I know that his dad and mom do not live together.
And you have a wife and 2 kids, correct?
Yes.
Now, in your opinion, would you say that someone who doesn't have a father lacks family values, maybe?
There may be some family values missing, yes.
Okay. So, do you have any hard evidence that pertains to Alex Day being related in any gangs at the school or drug problems?
No, I do not.
He's ever been caught with drugs? Ever been caught with weapons on the school?
No, it's not.
So you could say that you had more hunches that there was problems with Alex Day at the school.
Based on his criminal activity and what he has.
But they are more hunches, correct?
Yes.
So does he get in trouble at school at all?
Yes.
What kind of trouble?
He misbehaves in class. He's been sent to my office a couple times.
Okay. And when about did you hire Sidney Taylor as a security guard at the school?
About almost a year before.
Okay. Now, was it that he decided to work for the school because he wasn't satisfied with his job with the PED?
That was one reason, yes.
Did any other officers offer to work at the high school with you?
No.
So, Sidney's mental state,
Was he often under a lot of stress, would you say?
Yes, as is the case with almost everyone. Most people have stress pertaining to their job.
Police officers can be under a lot of stress with the work that they have.
Yes.
Now, in a statement you gave us, you said that a doctor prescribed Officer Sidney Taylor with muscle relaxants to deal with his stress.
Yes.
Now, in your statement also, you said that Officer Taylor had been refusing to take his muscle relaxants, so he was still under constant stress.
I do not know if that is true.
But you gave that to us in your statement.
But okay.
So on September 23rd, where were you during the game?
I was in the bleachers.
Objection, he already answered that question.
I'm simply asking again.
Proceed.
I was in the bleachers.
So, okay, about when after the game did you hear the gunshot?
About first we had to make sure everything was secure. So it was probably 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay. And you were closing the stadium while this happened?
Yes.
Now,
No, we had saw the car first. We had seen the car first, and then we had gone there. Sid Taylor had gone over there, and I had gone over to the phone to call dispatch.
that was after you heard the gunshot, obviously.
No, that was after we heard the car. Then when I was calling dispatch, that's when I heard the gunshot.
In the statement, it says that once you heard the gunshot, you ran over to see what happened.
Yeah, because I finished on the phone, so I ran over to make sure my police officer was okay.
Well, in your statement, it says that after you heard the gunshot, you weren't on the phone, you were closing up the stadium.
And we were closing up the stadium before I got on the phone.
So, once you got over there, in your statement, it says you ran after one of the boys, or some person with a Jets hat on? Jets
Yes.
jacket. Were you able to catch them?
No, it's faster than me.
Now, did you see their face?
No, I did not.
Now, you didn't actually see, obviously, Officer Sidney Taylor shoot Alex Day,
No.
correct? But in your opinion, you think that he shot him with the right intent to protect himself, correct?
Yes.
Now, you don't know for a fact that he was protecting himself. Maybe, possibly, let's say, hasn't been taking his muscle relaxants. He's under a lot of stress. You could assume maybe that, let's say he was pulling something out of his pocket, maybe it was a gun. Under stress, you could think maybe anything possibly. Correct?
I guess.
Further questions?
This is excused.
The defense would like to call Detective Leslie Thomas to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Hi, Detective Thomas, how are you today?
Doing well, thank you.
Okay, we're getting right to it. What makes you an expert in games?
Well, I spent 8 years in the Los Angeles Police Department. The last 3 were spent in the gaming unit. And I made note gangs are very prominent in LA, which gives me valuable experience working there. I attended 40-hour week-long classes at the Newark Police Department gang school, which I was later certified in inner city gang specialist by the National Law Enforcement Institute in Washington. I served on many federal task force where I had developed a manual about gangs in New York City. I had gone for numerous conferences regarding detentions and gang activity. I had read all literature about gang members. I also arrested hundreds of gang members in LA and here in White Mountain.
So with all that experience, you have to have testified before, right?
I've testified on numerous times regarding detentions and eradication of gang activity.
Okay. So based on all your experience, training, and education, can you explain some of the things you've learned about gangs in White Mountain?
I have arrested multiple gang members from the Main Street gang during my life here. I've learned that the gang members usually tend to wear gear, jackets, and hats. The age and clothing is also a factor. I realized that gangs in the White Mountains are just like gangs in LA. Therefore, my experience is very helpful.
Okay. So as an expert witness, can you give us your opinion on whether or not Alex Day, Tony Sanchez, and Bobby Davis are indeed gang members?
Based on the clothing they wore, the fresh paint cans from the Main Street gang symbols, I've identified at the scene that I believe Officer Taylor was completely reasonable in believing that Alex Day, Tony Sanchez,
Objection,
Bobby-
speculating. She's an expert, Your Honor. Therefore, she can.
She's an expert in this matter. She will hear.
Well, we've already established the fact, according to our witnesses' testimonies, that they are not, in fact, affiliated with gangs.
No, you have not.
Right, so
None of them are
we're
experts.
We will hear her opinion. Proceed with questions.
I believe that Officer Taylor was completely reasonable in believing that Alex Day, Tony Sanchez, and Bobby Davis were members of the gang.
So what recommendations did you give to White Mountain High School and Officer Taylor?
Well, I told them Alex Day, Tony Sanchez, and others affiliated with the Main Street gangs. I also asked them to put in metal detectors, which they did, and to hire Officer Taylor to keep an eye on things. I briefed Taylor. I told him about the students who I had found that were likely to be affiliated with the Main Street gangs. I had specifically mentioned Alex Day and told Officer Taylor to keep an eye on him. The most important thing I said to Officer Taylor was that he needed to be careful. Gang members are known to carry weapons, and that he should be approached a suspect that might be a gang member and that he might be armed and dangerous. In my expert opinion, I believe that it was completely reasonable for Officer Taylor to believe that the object he saw Alex Day in his hand on the night of September 23rd, 2005 was indeed a gun.
So with that, do you have anything to add about Alex Day and gangs in general?
I would like to add that there is a given secrecy associated with the gangs. In my experience, it is usual for a gang member to deny that they are part of a gang. It does not mean that they are affiliated with the gang. Also, gangs usually allow non-members to socialize with them. So Alex Day says he was at the gang party 3 to 4 times a week. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that he was a gang member.
So how would you describe, we're moving on a little bit here, how would you describe Officer Taylor personally?
Personally, Officer Taylor does not have the experience I have, and therefore can get a little nervous sometimes.
Which is understandable.
Yes, a high stress situation, but he makes up for all of it in his dedication. He believes that gangs will ruin White Mountain, but he is doing everything he can to keep those punks away. I admire him for it.
Okay, moving on. How would you describe Officer Andy Medina?
Well, he still has his nose out of the joint because I refuse to take him in my gang unit. I honestly don't think much of his police skills, and he does not appreciate and take the serious gang threat posed to White Mountain.
Now,
Objection, relevance in that previous statement. I don't know your name.
For the record, who is this Andy?
Officer Medina
Officer
testified.
Officer
saying-
Medina had testified.
What's the relevance to this case, though?
What she just said?
It's about Alex Day and...
It's background information on Mr. Medina.
Who's
possibly
testifying
lying
for your guy?
Is he testifying for us, but I don't see the relevance for this time.
It's her opinion on the officer, not.
Right, and she's
Yeah,
an
that's not
expert.
her expert opinion. on
Okay,
it.
she can state her opinion. This whole thing is an opinion. It's all a theory.
Considering it's relevant to the case, correct?
It is relevant
It is
to the
relevant.
case.
Your Honor.
Not relevant.
Your Honor.
Officer Medina testified for the defense, and
Therefore,
We have
we're
an
ready to talk
expert
about Officer
basically discrediting the witness, and that is
Expert
why
on
they're
the
doing
game.
this.
Not her opinion
Did you
on
know
the officer.
Did you know the officer personally?
Mostly just on a work basis.
Strictly professional.
Yes.
And she commented on his police work, which is all she would know. She didn't comment on him personally.
Give your opinion on that, on what you observed with this officer.
Repeat it or? I said that he was a little upset that he was not into my gang unit, and that I don't think much of his police skills, and that he doesn't think the White Mountain gang is a serious threat.
So, with that, I'm sure you guys are good. And Luke and Officer Andy Medina, because of Officer Taylor's position in the police force, do you believe Andy Medina holds a grudge against Sid Taylor?
I do believe that.
And with that grudge, do you believe that that implies motive on his part to let go of as little information as he could and be a difficult cross-examination witness?
I do believe that.
No further questions, Your Honor.
State time for cross-examination.
Ms. Thomas, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Quite well, thank you. So, Detective Thomas, are you employed at the White Mountain Police Department?
I am employed there.
You are? And it's of my understanding that you spent 8 years with the LAPD, correct?
Yes, I did. 3 of those were with the gang unit.
Answer my next question, read my mind. And you were brought to the White Mountain Police Department to initiate a gang unit, correct?
Yes, LA was just out of control, and I wanted to try and hit it before it spread.
Right, sure, understandable. And just, summarizing basically what you've told us so I can gain understanding of your background. I understand you were declared a certified inner-city gang specialist by the National Law Enforcement Institute. You attended a 40-hour week-long institute at the NYPD's gang school. You served on the federal task force where you assisted in the development of a manual concerning how to handle gang-related issues in cities with populations greater than 1 million. And you've claimed to have arrested hundreds of gang members.
This is true.
It's a pretty impressive resume, Ms. Thomas. I believe we can all agree.
Thank you.
Given your history, would you say you're fit for the position you currently hold at the White Mountain Police Department?
I do believe I am able to fit that position.
And you'd say you possess a good understanding of the law and your duty as an officer.
I do.
And under the White Mountain Police Department gang unit, you're taught when identifying a gang member, clothing is an underlying factor taken into consideration, correct?
It is.
And so New York Jets attire is considered gang-related, correct?
Yes.
Well, Ms. Thomas, I'm quite a Jets fan myself, and I sometimes wear Jets memorabilia. Does that make me a gang member?
No, it's not, but when you are from a lower area where you may not be able to afford all that, it is very suspicious to be wearing a lot of clothing because it is pricey.
So that'd be making assumptions.
On a very educated guess, and that I am certified.
It's educated to base your one's affiliation with the gang off of what they're wearing. You say that's educated?
Yes.
Interesting. So does it make Alex a gang member just because he wears these clothes?
No, but he does come from a lower area, and it makes him harder for him to provide money for these, which makes it suspicious.
My dad, Objection, Your Honor.
That's the typical profile of a gang member. Comes from a lower area and wears Jets clothing that you can't compete for.
And that she is an expert and has the right to make that statement.
No one's objecting to that. I'm asking questions. No one's objecting to her.
You asked the same question twice.
I believe I can ask whatever questions I want. Thank you. You can remain seated. And so, anyways, back to what I was saying. So you have no other hard evidence proving he's part of the gang other than your speculation off of his clothing, correct?
And that he has attended many gang parties, and often they do deny that they are part of a gang, even when they are.
When they are. So you said they are part of the gang.
Yes.
So you have hard evidence proving Alex Day is part of the Main Street gang. You have hard evidence proving it.
Based on his criminal record in the past, that he is,
That's, Your Honor, that's irrelevant. I'm asking a yes or no question.
repeat the question.
You have hard evidence proving Alice Day is a member of the Main Street Gang. Hard evidence.
Yes.
You do. Where's that? Do you have that? Could you pull that up for
She's
me?
an expert, she's allowed to do that.
Well,
This is her evidence.
She is an expert, we will hear her opinion, which is very valid for this person.
Your Honor, I completely agree, considering she's an expert, her opinion is very valued in this courtroom. However, she claims to have hard evidence. Could she present that evidence, Your Honor?
Based
Your
on
Honor.
my opinions.
So, your opinions are hard evidence.
Your Honor, she's an expert,
An
she
expert.
has explained,
It's not hard
she
evidence.
has
Opinions
explained.
are not hard evidence, Your Honor. Opinions are not hard evidence,
Do you have any evidence regarding Alex Day?
other than your opinion.
In my opinion.
She has explained it based on what she has observed.
Based on what she's observed, what?
Objection, he is telling her what to say right now.
That she explained that, and I'm clearly explaining that to Brian here, who does not understand.
John, she needs to answer the question herself, not
Your Honor.
Disregarding this previous
Your Honor,
argument,
objection.
disregarding this previous argument, the fact of the matter is, she specifically said she has hard evidence. We all heard her, did we not?
Badger her.
It's the only reason.
She said she had hard evidence, and
My-
I believe you're
my-
telling me
my
what to say
opinion
right now.
is evidence.
We were objecting to your badger
Hard evidence,
I didn't badger her, she openly admitted to having hard evidence.
after asking the question multiple times.
After she stated she had hard evidence, yes, I
You
would
asked the
continue to
question
proceed with
3 or
that
4
question.
times, and badgered her into saying yes.
Your Honor, I continue to proceed with that question.
Counselor, hard evidence is obviously, she does not have any, but she has an opinion.
Thank you.
Does she? Your Honor, does she have an opinion?
She has an opinion.
Is
And
she
she's an expert, correct?
She is an expert, we will hear her opinion.
We will. No.
Your Honor, may I object quickly?
Yes.
A testimonial is not a place where we show that the person testifying has lack of evidence, rather he's asking for her opinion and her facts that she knows. So it's not a place where we can show lack of evidence. That's not what we're supposed to be doing on the stand.
But however, the courtroom is the place to present physical evidence, which she
Rather,
claims
that
to
should have
have.
been done earlier.
So if you have a reason, then don't say you have it now if you didn't present it earlier. Okay?
We would that.
Moving
Dismiss
forward.
that question.
Moving forward.
That-
Let's see, let me find my place here.
So in this case, her evidence is her opinion of what she sees.
But that's not hard evidence.
But hard evidence.
Move on.
Define hard evidence.
Moving on.
Alright, guys.
Oh, so, anyways, backtracking here a little bit to gather our place here. Is it possible, Ms. Thomas, that someone wearing gang-esque clothing isn't affiliated with a gang? Is it possible that someone wearing, for example, Jets clothing is not a gang member, they just have to be a fan of the sports team?
This is true.
And, anyways, kind of branching off here. Ms. Thomas, would you say recent gang activity in White Mountain has been stressful and overwhelming?
It's something to deal with, but it's under my control.
It's under your control. Interesting. Is it fair to say being a new member of the department would intensify those emotions that could possibly be had?
No, it's strictly work, and I'm just here to put people away.
You are, but is it possible a new member? You're not new. You have quite the impressive resume, as we touched on earlier. I'm speaking of Officer Taylor. Is it possible that being a new member could intensify possible emotions experienced with the job?
That is possible.
And I understand Sidney Taylor is indeed a new addition to the White Mountain Police Department, correct?
It is.
Upon his arrival, Officer Taylor was instructed to follow activity concerning Alex Day, correct?
Yes, he was by my orders.
And did you warn Officer Taylor of Alex specifically despite no hard evidence?
Besides,
Your Honor, please define hard evidence. This is a joke.
Oh my god.
Obviously, the expert does not have any hard evidence, so.
Can someone please define hard evidence to me? I mean,
I believe hard evidence is physical evidence.
physical evidence, so let's use the correct word here. Physical evidence. Okay, thank you. Let's use the correct word here. I mean, we go into English class for 10 years. I don't know what hard evidence means.
Speaking out of turn.
Nice.
It's an objection, right?
An extended objection.
Move on.
I'll just leave my case to the judge.
And did Officer Taylor say all gang members are, quote, armed and dangerous, are assumed to be armed and dangerous?
Yes, they are.
And you're quoted saying Officer Taylor isn't the world's greatest cop. Did you say that?
Yes, I did.
You did.
But every officer is trained at his skills to know when there's danger.
Right. And you said Officer Taylor doesn't have experience and is nervous for this kind of job. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you also said you've never known anyone as single-minded as Officer Taylor when it comes to these gangs. Is that right?
I don't believe I said single mind.
No, we don't. I believe we could provide evidence with your statement you provided us.
Okay.
So could we admit that? I'm not sure how the process goes.
That's awesome.
This bailiff.
I found it.
So it's in there.
Let's just say.
Why, thank you.
Let's just say yes.
We can move on.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
We need to hurry up here, guys. We need to hurry up.
It was in the statement.
You did say it. All right. And anyways, you stated Officer Taylor was. Now, I want you to clearly listen to me on this statement that I'm quoting you on. You stated Officer Taylor was convinced they, implying gang members, I assume, were going to be the ruin of White Mountain, and that the WMPD wasn't taking the whole thing seriously enough, and that it was up to him to rescue the high school from the Main Street gang.
I do believe that because there were officers like Officer Andy that did not take the crime serious enough.
So he had to rescue. It was his job to be the hero.
Well, when there are kids' lives at stake, yes, yes, he does. These
Interesting.
are important.
And would you say Officer Taylor became obsessed and exaggerated his role in the gang unit?
I feel like he was doing his active duty as an officer to keep those children safe.
So you wouldn't say he became obsessed with the case and or my client Alex Day? No. Well, you know, it's interesting because I also have you here quoted saying he worked like a demon.
Yes,
He
I
worked
hope
like
he
a
would.
demon to bust these punks.
Yes, I hope any officer on the job would.
You know, that it would be speculation to assume that that would be obsessing over it, but it does sound, Ms. Thomas, like that is implying that he was obsessed over Alex Day in the case.
In my opinion, I think he is just a hard, dedicated, as I've said, officer.
All right, dedicated officer. Interesting. That's no further questions, Your Honor.
The defense would like to call Officer Sid Taylor to the stand.
Sid Taylor.
Please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Hello, officer. How are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. So where are you currently?
I'm an officer at the White Mountain Police Department. Right now, I'm spending the majority of my time on special detail at White Mountain High School. I'm their security guard.
So do you consider yourself on duty when working as a security guard at White Mountain High School?
Technically, I'm considered off duty during this period, but I know from the law and my training that when I'm working within my jurisdiction, I'm always on duty. I wear my uniform and carry my radio while at White Mountain High School. And if there were ever a problem, I would have the right and an obligation to help to the best of my ability.
Right. So what makes you qualified to do this job?
I attended and completed the police academy in 1992, and I have 12 years of experience in the field. I have learned and seen a lot during that time. I know what to look for in a potential criminal, like nervousness, furtive glances, and bulges that might show me that a person is carrying a deadly weapon.
My experience and training has made me sure that I can handle any situation that may come my way.
What makes you qualified to understand gangs specifically?
Over the last few years, I have learned a lot about gang activity. I know gang members are connected to drugs, and I understand how gang members act. I believe we need to crack down on gangs, and I want to make sure that White Mountain High School is a safe community.
Okay, going back to what you previously said, you said people could look like a potential criminal when they display nervousness, furtive glances, and/or bulges. Do you agree, or would you say that Alex Day possessed these traits on the night of the shooting?
Yes, I would agree to that.
Okay. So moving on, describe your job at White Mountain High School. What were you doing?
My job is to keep kids at White Mountain High School safe. There's suspicion by teachers and by the principal that gangs had infiltrated the school. Gangs are very dangerous, and as a police officer, I need to investigate potential gang affiliates. It was brought to my attention by Principal Mathis that Alex Day was suspected of being involved in gang activity, along with a few other students. My job is to instigate, and that is what I did. I did extensive work investigating these potential gang affiliates. I believe any police officer, if put in my position, would have done the same. I kept tabs on the suspected of being involved in gang activity. Throughout this, Alex Day was specifically seen wearing the insignia of the New York Jets. This insignia is known to be worn. This insignia is known to be worn to show you were part of a certain gang. He was also seen hanging around with other known members of the Main Street Gang by teachers. My experience and training led me to believe he was affiliated with the gang.
So you mentioned that you believed he was selling drugs in your statement. Can you explain how you thought that?
Well, he was seen by teachers hanging around with the students who was recently arrested for crack cocaine. He also tended to have very expensive things, like a brand new BMW, that normally a student of his parents' income level could not afford. Based on my experience, this led me to believe he was selling drugs and weapons.
Okay. So can you please take me through the events on September 23rd, 2005?
Of course. I started working the high school football game at 6:30 like always. I'm there to make sure everyone's safe. Initially, my job was to collect $1 from each car and enter the parking lot. At around 7 p.m., I recognized Alex Day's BMW. From my research, Alex Day's BMW, when it pulled in the parking lot. When the driver rolled down his window, I saw that it was in fact Day driving the car, and another kid named Tony Sanchez in the passenger seat. I knew Tony had just been released on parole from Juvenile Detention Center, and had recently been busted for a DWI. I admitted I was disappointed to see Tony with Day, because I warned him earlier to stay away from Day because he was just going to get in more trouble by hanging out with him. I felt he greeted me very rudely and tossed $1 out the window as he drove into the parking lot. I also smelled the strong odor of marijuana but did not search the car. I sat with Principal Mathis for part of the game, watching the students and keeping an eye on Day and his friends like I always do. I would say about halfway through the game, I noticed Day and Tony and the kid who was wearing a Jets cap walking together in a hushed tone, or talking together in a hushed tone. I'm trained to notice these things. When the three of them got up, I attempted to follow them, thinking they might be heading to a drug deal, but I lost them in the crowd. Later, probably about 15 minutes after that, they returned to their seats. I did leave them alone until a girl came up to me in the second half of the game, looking upset, saying Day and his friends had thrown soda at her, and she wanted me to tell them to stop. When I did, Day told me okay while saluting me. They seemed to be intoxicated or under the influence of a narcotic, but I let it be because I could not be sure. I did watch them for the rest of the game, but nothing unusual happened. At the end of the game, I made sure all the students left like always, and Principal Mathis and I secured the visitor side of the football stadium. While walking to the home side, I heard screeching of wheels and saw a car pull in under the grandstand. I know they must have broken in considering Principal Mathis and I locked up that area. I then proceeded to tell Principal Mathis to call for backup, and I headed towards the car. The car's parking lights were on and appeared to be Alex Day's BMW. I would say it was about 60 feet away with the stadium lights on when I saw three figures get out. I saw one with a jacket and one with a baseball cap. I could not clearly identify them as Day, Sanchez, and the kid they were with earlier, but that's what I suspected. I saw that the car was still running and that they were talking in low voices. I also saw an object change hands. I I then recognized Alex's voice and who told me to get a life. And none of them listened to what I told them to do after that. At that moment, I saw the flash of a metal object that I was certain was a revolver. I know from experience that drug dealers would go to great lengths to protect their profits. I instantly drew my weapon and as I was trained to do so, fired at the person with the weapon. I hit Alex Day in the knee. The reason there was no weapon found was because Davis, who fled the scene, must have picked up the gun and ran with it.
So in your statement, you said you were a very good shot and did not want to kill the person with the gun. Can you clarify that?
What I'm saying is that it's my goal to keep myself and everyone around me safe. No, I would never want to kill anyone. When I shoot, I aim to eliminate the threat, and sometimes the person ends up dead. In this case, it did not happen. I purposely shot at the knee so I would not kill the student. I did it in order to protect myself and others.
With that, what leads you to believe that Davis picked up the gun while fleeing the scene?
I know from experience that gang members will do anything to protect their fellow gang members. I'm certain that Davis knew that a gun was incriminating evidence and wanted to protect Alex by taking the gun.
Do you know and understand RSA 627:5?
Yes.
And I quote, "A law enforcement officer is justified in using deadly force only when he reasonably believes such force is necessary. Okay, to defend himself or a third person from what he reasonably believes is the imminent use of deadly force." Now with that, do you believe that your life was put in danger?
Yes, I do. I saw the revolver, and I thought that without taking action, I could have been hurt.
No further questions, sir.
It's taken out for cross-examination.
Hello, Officer Taylor. I just have a few questions for you. So, Officer Taylor, you were sued for excessive force back in 1997, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
And you also said that you didn't think the White Mountain Police Department was taking seriously enough the gang activity, so did you just then think you could take matters into your own hands?
I do not think I could take matters in my own hands. I was asked by Principal Mathis to come to White Mountain High School to help with the drug problem that he thought was there.
Okay, so no, you don't. But one of the reasons you took the job is so you could focus on certain students, correct?
Yes, I believe that there are students in White Mountain High School that were causing a lot of the drug problems and the gang problems at White Mountain.
So you went into this job singling out students, yes?
I did not go into the job singling out students. There was a memo sent out that had a list of students that you should watch out for.
But if you were focusing on them, weren't you singling them out from the rest of the students?
I was focusing on them because that was the orders I was given to do. Look, pay attention to these people.
You had something to prove to the principal, right, for job security purposes?
What do you mean?
You said you said in your statement you had something to prove to Principal Mathis, correct?
Yes.
And you thought that breaking this supposed drug ring at the high school was the way to do that?
I figured that breaking the drug ring would, yes, prove something to Principal Mathis, but also keep White Mountain safer. And as a police officer, that's my main goal.
You did seek out information on Mr. Alex Day, didn't you?
Yes, it's
So
my
you
job to
seeked out the
find
informants.
information.
And you traded this information for cigarettes, didn't you?
Yes.
At the high school, so were you giving cigarettes to minors?
Yes.
And you said that you even paid $100 to 2 informants on Alex for information on Alex Day, didn't you?
Did.
So you bought information?
Yes.
Just to clarify, robbing is not illegal in New Hampshire. It is allowed in order to get evidence on someone that you believe could.
But it is
Two
considered
minors?
Bought the information.
Two minors?
I'm not arguing your statement, I'm just letting everyone know that bribing is not a criminal offense.
All right, well, isn't it possible that these informants lied to receive your rewards?
It is possible, but I obviously judged that they were a credible person, otherwise I would not spend my own personal money to try and figure out this case.
But it is possible.
It's definitely possible, but being a police officer, doing things I was trained to do, and I I was with the police force for a long time, and I did all the training. I judged that they were a credible source.
You became obsessed with Alex Day, didn't you?
I would not say I was obsessed.
No? Alright. Well, you followed him to the school parking lot and lockers. So did you obtain a school schedule so you could follow him around?
I didn't, no.
No. So you just watched his every move.
I didn't watch his every move. I kept tabs on him like I'm supposed to.
And so outside of school, you even drove by Alex's house after school hours.
Yes.
And then you went so far as to find out where Alex was spending his summer.
Yes, I did.
And then you went even further and called the Jersey State Police to run a background check on Alex's father.
Yeah, I figured that someone who I have highly believed was a large gang member and was bringing a lot of the drugs into White Mountain, that it would be good to, after finding out where he was going, to have more help in New Jersey.
But after running that background check, they never found anything on his father, did they?
No.
You have a history of stress management, don't you?
I do.
And you stopped taking the medicine?
Yes, I don't believe in Western medicine. For me, that's something that I don't like to do. I take natural, more type supplements that help me relax myself, such as melatonin. I also try to meditate every day.
So you were under a lot of stress because you didn't take this medicine the doctors prescribed for you?
I would not say that because I didn't take the medicine, as any job, it's a stressful situation, especially being a police officer. Your life is always in danger. But without taking the medicine, I don't think that that was causing me to have more stress because of the other actions I was doing.
On the day of the shooting, Alex never approached you on the time in question, did he?
No.
And he never touched you, did he?
No.
And he never threatened you?
No, he did not.
And no gun was ever found at the scene?
No, it was not.
So you don't know for certain that shiny object you saw was a gun?
For certain, no, I do not, but based on my training, I had high beliefs.
No gun was ever found at the scene. No further questions.
This is a huge. The state can now address their closing argument.
Your Honor, members of the jury, today you have seen a police officer who claims to have acted out of self-defense and claims to have seen a young kid pull a gun on him. But no weapon was ever found at the scene. He has a history of forces and stress management problems, and he developed an obsession with Alex because he believed he was in a gang. He had no real facts and bought information from students. Alex said he would see Sydney at the mall, by his locker, and even in the next lane while driving around town. He knew where Alex lived, followed him to school lunches, in the parking lot. He found out where Alex was spending his summer, and even called Jersey police to run a background check on his father. No matter what Officer Taylor did, he could not find anything tying to the victim to a gang. And that made him so mad he began looking for reasons to get Alex. And he thought he had one that night when he saw a group of teenagers hanging out. Officer Taylor approached them. They did not approach Officer Taylor. Then he saw Alex there and automatically assumed something illegal. He says he saw a shiny object and he believed it was a revolver. But the shiny object might have been an iPod, a cell phone, because no weapon was ever found. But Officer Sidney Taylor was frustrated with his failure to find anything on Alex, and he couldn't take it
A
anymore.
weapon was found, a knife was found, so I would say that weapon.
Revolver was found.
The
Switchblade?
No,
Is that correct?
The switchblade, the switchblade knife.
No gun was found.
No gun was found?
Which is what Officer Taylor claimed to have seen. So, no gun was ever.
And Officer Taylor, I'd like to point out, also said that Alex never posed as a threat to him. He never threatened him, and there's no physical evidence that he did. So Alex made some questionable choices that night. We're not here to debate that, like cutting the lock and driving under the stands. But it's important to remember Alex never threatened Sydney, and none of his actions warranted being deliberately shot. And that is why you, And that is why you must find him guilty. He broke the law, he acted out of frustration and anger, so he had no concern for the person he was shooting at. And it can't happen again, or the next time he shoots, it could be more damaging or even fatal. And as I stated earlier, a lot of background and history has been presented today, but none of it is really relevant to what the issue is at hand, which is that an unarmed man, kid, was shot, even though he didn't pose as a threat. Something needs to be done about this.
The defense now addressed to Kuzia.
Your Honor, the jury. We listened to arguments from both sides. The prosecution presented two criminals in Alex Day and Tony Sanchez, one of which has an extensive criminal record and who has committed perjury.
Objection
Lied.
throughout that one criminal record, so that was not.
All right, we won't go with that. It's okay. Lied on stand.
Tony
Oh.
Sanchez is irrelevant at this point. Move on.
Okay. No, that was Alex Day. Alex Day lied that he didn't drink. And how are we supposed to believe somebody who lies on stand and not even about something relevant very much to the whole case? That this whole credibility now is being put into question of Alex Day and of the whole testimony. The prosecution has not proven any aspect that Officer Taylor shot and intended to kill Sid Taylor Alex Day, which is the whole reason why we're here. There's been no hard evidence from the prosecution suggesting that Officer Taylor is guilty of what he is being convicted of. He should not be convicted of a crime that he is clearly innocent of. Their third testimony was by a jealous police officer who openly admitted that he was slightly bitter about not getting on the detective gang expert Leslie Thomas's gang unit. He's angry about the fact that Officer Taylor made some big drug busts. On our side, we had three respectable testimonies from Officer Sid Taylor, Principal Sam Mathis, and Detective Leslie Thomas. Detective Thomas, who is also a gang expert, gave a testimony stating that Officer Taylor's police work was better than Officer Medina. She also agreed with how Officer Taylor handled the gang situation at White Mountain High School and stated that Alex Day and Tony Sanchez are gang members. What more evidence do we need? Principal Mathis, a respectable public figure, explained that he liked how Officer Taylor took gangs seriously and that's why he hired him. Then Officer Taylor testified. A public service officer telling his side of the story, showing he followed the book. He asked Alex Day to stop, gave direction, and they're the ones who refused to follow. Then he felt that his life was in danger when he saw Alex Day, Tony Sanchez, and Bobby Davis passing an object. When his life was put in danger, that gave him the right to use deadly force under state law. A lot of this case comes down to one man's word, which now who even knows what is true and what isn't. The whole credibility of Alex Day, who is the main reason why we're here, is being put to question. Are you going to believe two lying criminals or men and women who have given their lives to protect and educate students in the community of White Mountain?
The jury is now dismissed for recess to evaluate the case.